This girl claimed to be Marilyn Monroe in a past life, and it's one of the most chilling reincarnation cases in history. It was a crisp autumn morning in New York City, October 2023. The city was just beginning to stir, the scent of roasting coffee mingling with the exhaust fumes of yellow cabs. In a sun-drenched apartment overlooking Central Park, the Miller family, David, a respected architect, and Sarah, a vibrant artist, were preparing for another ordinary day. Their 5-year-old daughter, Emily, was their world. She was a bright, imaginative child with a fondness for vibrant colors and an infectious giggle that could light up any room. Yet beneath her seemingly normal facade, subtle oddities had begun to surface, like faint ripples on an otherwise calm pond. Emily's room, usually a riot of plush toys and crayon masterpieces, had started to reflect a peculiar taste. She'd meticulously arranged her doll clothes, favoring delicate silks and furs, often discarding the more practical cottons her mother bought. She'd insist on wearing dresses that shimmered, even for playdates in the park, and would often gaze at her reflection with an intensity that seemed far too mature for her years. Sarah would sometimes catch her humming old tunes that weren't on any of their children's playlists, melodies with a melancholic, jazzy undertone. David, usually pragmatic, simply brushed it off as Emily developing her own unique personality. "She's just a little diva, like her mom," he'd joke, ruffling Emily's blonde hair. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something more profound was at play. The first truly unsettling incident occurred during a family dinner. Emily, usually a chatterbox, had fallen unusually quiet, her fork pushing around her pasta. Suddenly she looked up, her blue eyes wide. "Daddy," she began, her voice unusually somber. "Do you remember when I wore that white dress, the one that flew up?" David chuckled, assuming she was referring to a recent windy day in the park. "Yes, sweetie, it was quite a gust." Emily shook her head, a frown creasing her brow. "No, not like that. It was for a picture, and all the people were watching, so many flashes." Sarah and David exchanged a glance. Emily had never been to a photo shoot like that, let alone worn a white dress that billowed up in a way that would draw a crowd. Later that week, while watching an old movie on TV, a scene of a woman being photographed with flashes caught Emily's attention. "That's it!" she exclaimed, pointing excitedly. "That's how it felt." The woman on the screen was a classic Hollywood starlet, not someone Emily had ever seen before. Then came the dreams. Emily would wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes crying, sometimes simply staring into the darkness with an unreadable expression. "I was on a stage again," she'd whisper, her voice trembling. "And everyone was clapping, but I was so lonely." She spoke of Bobby and Arthur, names that held no meaning for her parents. She mentioned feeling trapped and misunderstood. Sarah, increasingly concerned, started keeping a dream journal for Emily, meticulously noting every fragment. One morning, Emily woke up particularly distressed. "They were calling me Norma Jean," she sobbed. "But I'm Marilyn. I'm Marilyn." The name hung in the air, a chilling pronouncement that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Norma Jean, Marilyn. The pieces, though fragmented, were beginning to align in a terrifying mosaic. Emily, a 5-year-old girl, was claiming to be Marilyn Monroe. David, initially skeptical, tried to rationalize it. She must have heard it somewhere, he'd insist, though he couldn't pinpoint how or where. Maybe a TV show or a song. But Emily's knowledge went far beyond casual exposure. She began to speak of details of Marilyn Monroe's life with startling accuracy. She described the little house with the foster parents, the feeling of being different from other children, and the yearning for a real family. She spoke of the pressure of being a star, the loneliness in a crowded room, and the constant scrutiny. "My hair was blonde, so very blonde," she'd recount, stroking her own fair locks, "and sometimes they made me change it." She even mentioned specific film sets, describing the feeling of the lights, the cameras, the endless takes. "There was a diamond dress," she'd recall, her eyes sparkling, "and I sang to the president." If this shocks you so far, subscribe and tell us in the comments what you think about reincarnation. The Millers, desperate for answers, reached out to Dr. Evelyn Reed, a renowned child psychologist specializing in past life memories, and Professor Alistair Finch, a historian with a particular expertise in Hollywood's golden age. Both were initially skeptical, but agreed to meet the child. Their first encounter with Emily was carefully orchestrated. Dr. Reed began with seemingly innocuous questions about Emily's favorite colors and toys. Emily answered politely, but her demeanor shifted when Professor Finch subtly introduced images of 1950s Hollywood. Emily's eyes widened. "That's a picture of me," she exclaimed, pointing to a photograph of Marilyn Monroe in a crowd of fans. When Professor Finch showed her a series of pictures of various actresses from the era, Emily accurately identified Marilyn Monroe every time, even when disguised or from different angles. She even pointed out subtle changes in Monroe's appearance over the years, changes that only an ardent fan or someone intimately familiar with her would recognize. The tests grew more specific. Professor Finch, intrigued, showed Emily a series of unlabeled photographs of famous Hollywood landmarks, some still standing, others long gone. Emily, without hesitation, pointed to a picture of the now demolished Ambassador Hotel, where Robert F. Kennedy had delivered his final speech, and said, "I remember that place. It was always so busy." She described the layout of the hotel's ballroom and even the peculiar scent of the lobby, a detail that was historically accurate but impossible for a modern 5-year-old to know. Dr. Reed, a seasoned professional, found herself speechless. Emily wasn't guessing. Her responses were too precise, too emotionally charged. She spoke of her love for acting, her struggles with anxiety, and her deep desire for acceptance, all themes that resonated powerfully with Marilyn Monroe's documented life. The most chilling and undeniable proof came during a visit to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The family, accompanied by Dr. Reed and Professor Finch, stood among the stars, a cacophony of tourists and street performers. Emily, holding her mother's hand, suddenly stopped, her gaze fixed on a particular star. "That's mine," she stated, her voice quiet but firm. "My star." Her finger traced the iconic name, Marilyn Monroe. The adults exchanged bewildered glances. Emily had never been told where Monroe's star was located, nor had she been prompted in any way. She then began to recount a vivid memory of the day her star was unveiled, describing the weather, the people present, and even the feeling of nervous excitement that had coursed through her. She spoke of the weight of the moment, the sense of both triumph and overwhelming pressure. It was a first-hand account, delivered with an emotional resonance that transcended childish imagination. It was as if Marilyn herself was speaking through Emily. The Miller family's life was irrevocably altered. The story of Emily, the little girl who claimed to be Marilyn Monroe, spread like wildfire, first through hushed whispers in their community, then through local news, and eventually a global media frenzy. Scientists, theologians, and philosophers weighed in, their opinions ranging from outright dismissal to cautious fascination. Emily's case became a touchstone, challenging the very foundations of science, religion, and our understanding of the human consciousness. Was it a remarkable coincidence, a product of an overactive imagination, or was it something far more profound, a glimpse into the endless cycle of life and death, a testament to the enduring power of the soul? The world grappled with the implications. Could a soul truly persist beyond the grave, carrying memories, emotions, and even specific knowledge into a new body? For the Millers, life became a delicate balance between protecting their daughter and allowing her story to be told. Emily, in her childlike innocence, seemed to accept her dual identity with a remarkable grace. She still played with dolls, but now she'd often arrange them in dramatic poses, whispering lines she'd supposedly delivered in another life. The mystery of Emily Miller, the child who remembers being Marilyn Monroe, continues to captivate and confound. It leaves us with a profound question. What truly happens when we die? Is death an ending or merely a transition? What do you think? Could this child truly be the reincarnation of Marilyn Monroe? Comment below and subscribe for more chilling cases.